Okay, hi Aboli. Hi everyone. I welcome you all again. So if you were there in the morning, you know me already. If you're not, my name is Priyanka, and I am a UX researcher and trainer with UX Experts. And we have Mr. Tushar Deshmukh with us, who is founder of UX Expert and the director of UX UI Training Lab, and he's the one who has provided us this amazing platform. And I would like to introduce our fourth speaker today, an independent senior UX consultant, a design thinker, and a UX mentor, Aboli Safekar Maldev. She is an accomplished user experience consultant and HFI certified usability analyst with 15 years of extensive experience in the design industry. She has successfully conceptualized and delivered multi-channel, intuitive, accessible, and engaging digital experiences to Fortune 500 clients such as AT&T, Microsoft, British Telecom, and HSBC so far. She has provided UX and design thinking consultation to multiple startups in various domains. He specializes in design thinking consulting, design strategy and planning, user research, user centered design process, multi channel design, concept development and wireframing, high and low fidelity prototyping, web accessibility, visual design and illustration, and also UX education and mentoring. Today, she is going to talk to us about her experiences of being an individual UX consultant. Welcome, Aboli.
Thank you, Priyanka. Thank you so much.
So I would request Mr. Tushar Deshmukh to begin with the session, please.
Sure. Thank you, Priyanka. And I welcome Aboli again. So, been
Thank you, Tushar.
good to have you here. Everybody knows, this is a special vigil we are starting this. Um, so today we have Aboli, and when I started line up speakers, so I'm thinking about whom should I invite for this. So when I talk about UX, and then immediately the one name comes to my mind, and we discuss about so as a UX, as a designer, so everybody had some dream, So they start as a career and they slowly, and end of the day, after 5 years, 6 years, every designers today they want to be independent as their as a consultant, as a self-employed, or maybe in later career stages they want to become, they start their own studios. These are, and there are a lot of questions today we have. Uh, every budding designer have that question. So, and I immediately thought you were the correct person to answer those questions. So, thanks to you. This is a great topic, and ultimately I also correlate because one day I also started this as an independent journey. So there are a lot of new designers here. They are looking forward for this as a career path. So begin we can start with you can tell us what is your journey, what is your academic, what is your design background, and where you started and where you think that you should be as you started as an independent. Uh, so you can throw lights on your journey first. Then we can go deep in our core topic.
Sure. So to begin with, I would first like to thank Priyanka for that nice introduction. It's so good to hear about yourself, because you don't think you're all that, but eventually, apparently you are. So thank you so much, Priyanka. Thank you so much, Tushar, for, having me, inviting me for this amazing conference where, women in design sounds so nice and it's inspiring. And I would also like to thank everybody who has joined, in the afternoon, right after lunch, and they are all here, not sleeping, dozing off somewhere. So thank you, everyone. So just to begin with, like you mentioned, Tushar, about my journey, is that I would say, thankfully, I have a design background. So I'm a Bachelor of Fine Arts, which, for me, I think it gives me an edge in kind of visual communications and so on. So I learned the basics there. And then started in a different domain. I started in, and then so like I said that I started in advertising and design, but like communicating messages to a user such that full was many years back, actually 10 to 12 years back, I was working with Capgemini Pune, and they had both an e-learning team and a UX team. And fortunately, their UX team had a requirement of someone who could help them out at that point of time. And I got pulled into that field there. Once I was there, it was very, very new to me, right? But I really enjoyed it because it was not just graphic design. There was a lot of meaning to the design that went into user experience. So that got me interested. Of course, it's never easy to just fall on day one into a new field and be expected to deliver. So obviously, like anybody would, I struggled a bit, and then I found my path that learning a lot, and then going from there. So academically, yes, a Bachelor of Fine Arts, and then I got pulled into UX and I loved it. And then I started climbing, right from doing only some screens in UX to now strategizing user experiences and working on my own. So that was the journey so far.
So
some was, I would say, something was planned, and some was mere my luck that I got a chance of being in UX.
so when you say about independent UX consultant, so what do you mean by, and what is there for you? So how you started that portion of your.
So I think it will be first important to understand the meaning of consulting, right? When we are generally also when we are working with a company, we are generally consultants of the company for the client, right? So consulting means coming in and solving a problem for the end client, being that expert who can just walk in, plug into the business, understand the problem and solve it. So that is consulting. And then when it comes to independent consulting, it's more or less like, hey, I have a company and we have a specific problem, and we do not have anybody who can handle the UX strategy part of it. Please come, understand our problem and solve it. So, and that is possible because many companies do not have or cannot afford uh, consultants who they can hire full time. Let's say startups, right? That is the place where a lot of innovation happens. Of course, it happens everywhere, but they might not have the resources or to hire someone full time. But they do want, products really need good UX to be able to propel themselves further. So then they would reach out to a consultant who is flexible, who has learned quite a bit along the way, so that that consultant has that experience to solve that problem for the client. So independent consulting would be one person like me who would plug into another company and solve the problems for them, their users, or help build them their product or service. So, and UX is like purely UX. So nowadays I also do design thinking. Actually, design thinking and UX are kind of aligned with each other in many ways. Of course, they're two different things, but they are aligned. So I kind of now have started doing that as well. Design thinking. What do you say? Workshops or design thinking consulting workshops. So that would be like prepping the team. So consulting happens in many levels. It would be one project. It could be a strategy. It could be there is like let's say a team of junior designers. They're already working hands on, but they do not know the strategy or the whys of something. So then I would plug in there and help them do that. So many aspects of it. So there are many ways in I help them as an independent consultant. And the benefit for the other company is that they don't have to pay me all the time or a person all the time, and they get the expertise that they would want without having to hire someone. Right? So that is what independent UX consulting is.
And how you get into this field? So when your first assignment, or how you start the process, basically.
So, and I know it would have been very difficult for me if I would have started it in my early years of my career, because at that time, what happens is we don't know everything to be able to pull off a new project. So for example, let's say that there's an independent consultant who has just started, has only 3 or 4 years of experience and just got into it. And now he's been, or she, because this is a women's conference, so I'm going to, say she a lot. So she's been pulled into, someone has given her an assignment in, let's say healthcare. And she has only worked on financial domain before, like financial services. So it becomes very difficult, to kind of, you can't just become an independent consultant one fine day, because there has to be a lot of hands-on learning and experience that you have already had. So fortunately for me, even in Pune, I have worked with many companies as a full-time employee. As a UX person, so I've done a UX designer, I've done visual design, visual communication, I have done user research in Pune and in the US, as well as a UX researcher. So what that helped me do is it got me a very, very 360-degree view of what all is there in UX. And because now I say it's almost now the 16th year of work that I am in, so I've worked in all the domains. And whenever I got a new domain, I did not, just superficially do any work in it. I kind of deep dive. I learn everything. So that way, when one fine day, when we, like my story is that when we moved to the US for 2-3 years, till my employment, authorization document came in, I did not have anything to do. And that's when I realized that this is not working for me, right? I have to keep working, because I was like very passionate about UX and design in general. So, while that came, I started exploring the opportunities of, so there's a difference between freelancing and independent consulting, right? Freelancing is where you would just do a small part of something guided by someone else. And consulting is more like you would go there and you would advise them what they have to do, and then probably help them do it or do it for them, right? So I started with freelancing, where I used to do screen level. Okay, let me wireframe for you based on this brief, or let me do some visual design concepts for you. And it was fun because it was flexible. And to all the women out there, I had a kid at that time, so I got that flexibility of, because you cannot stop being a mother one fine day, right? So I got that flexibility of looking after my like very little child and being able to still work. I used to work late nights and work with clients in the other country, so that I can be available at all times. So that it started as freelancing, like 6 to 7 years back. And then I think I never thought of joining a full-time job, because it's so fulfilling. It's working on your own, making your own decisions, your flexible time, getting to choose the project. So nobody can say, oh, you are employed here, so you have to do this, right? Even if I'm not passionate about it, just dragging myself. So that thing that I got into freelancing when I had a child and I did not have that employment authorization document at that time. I did get the document, I did start working again, but that is where it started. And I really loved it. And then when we came back to India, I had that fork in the road, whether to take up a job or whether to now continue that consulting. So I had some people who were interested in working with me when I came back from the US. So I kept those projects going on independently. And then finally, there is another thing about being independently working, is that paycheck at the end of the month doesn't always happen. So that was something I faced, because you have also been an independent consultant. You would know the ups and downs, right?
Definitely.
So
But
there is
just point out on the same lines, so what are you thinking? So after you started as a freelancer, then you moved to as full time as a consultant. So what are the pros and cons you think which can be advice as an advice for the upcoming as a consultant? They want to make a consultant. So,
yeah,
uh,
absolutely. So pros and cons of this independent work, you're saying, right?
right.
So cons in the beginning, I faced a lot of cons. Is that, like I said, the paycheck, right? On the first, probably first or whatever date, you would get a paycheck. You get paid days off. Okay, I'm taking a paid leave, and that is like, sugar to my ears. Oh, paid leave! Wow, that's so great. But that doesn't happen when you're doing it on your own. So there is this term called fast and feast, where at a time you would get no projects, which is like fasting, and sometimes you would get so many that you can't sleep, you just have to keep on working. So that is definitely a con. There is going to be a big fasting period. There's going to be a lot of networking that one has to do. So these are all the cons I'm talking about. There's going to be times that you'll have to work at your client's time zone, probably, uh, when you're doing that independently. And then again, one big thing is, you are lifting that entire project on your shoulders. So you cannot let that quality slip. That in probably in a job you would be working as a team. So there would depend for whatever you do, you don't do. So like I said, paycheck, fast and feast, taking up a lot of responsibility, crazy working hours, networking. If you don't network, you would not, people won't know you. However good you are, if you don't network, you wouldn't get that work to you. And the sixth one is always switching context. So let's say two different clients have come to me. One is from healthcare and one is from finance, and they're so different, these domains, and you're kind of handling 2 3 4 or 5 people, different projects at the same time. It just gets very difficult switching, removing that plug of financial services and plugging in healthcare and then working there and talking with SMEs, understanding their domain, understanding. So a lot of learning. It's hard work. It's a lot of hard work either.
Obviously, it is very hard work, and because when you work with the companies, then you have a team to support. And now here, you are a lot of things or decisions you have to make as an independent. So, so simply because in IT companies we have like a process oriented thing stuff. Okay? So we have agile, we have waterfall, but then the sprints and everything. Then what is your approach for because you may be working with such companies or maybe working with some individual clients, right? So
Yeah.
when you work with them, how you tackle those problems? How what is the I will say the methods or approach
Hmm.
to handle these processes oriented stuff we want to make. So what is your approach in that?
Yeah, absolutely. Very well said. Is because let's say there's one product company, there's one services company, there's a UX agency, or there's an individual who is a startup founder and wants help. So all of their processes are going to be different. So product company will be totally different. Services company will be totally different. So in the beginning, I used to make that mistake of, I wouldn't say mistake, but I wasn't very well informed that I have to keep the stakeholder informed at all times. And I have not worked lot in lot of waterfall projects as such, because when I actually stepped out, I work with a lot of what you say startups, and they want to be agile because they want to get to market faster. So then that is how it became easier for me. And I would always say I like to stay aligned with their processes. So the kickoff would be more or less my process and your process, and how we can marry them both to find the best solution out. And who would I be dealing with? Is it a team of junior designers? Is it one person? Is it a product person? So a lot of study goes in before starting a project, and then we align. In the first project that I did, I made some mistakes, and I used to maintain an Excel sheet where I used to write down, oh, this is what could have gone better, this is what went better. So there were like 2 sheets, good and bad. And then I used to start making this bad part, I'm going to keep on ticking it off. No, now it's good, now it's good. So I kept learning that way, that always communicating with all the stakeholders, working with their processes. So it's just something that you learn once you. So now I know that if it's a small business, this is probably how they're working. If it's a bigger company, this is probably, I have that mental model kind
Right.
of in my mind. So
Sure.
that is how it is.
So now just align with the same similar what today scenarios we have. Okay. So even now employees are working like work from home and their consultant work is like a consult. So whether do you find any change in now your work, or whether this time COVID time is also a tough time like for you getting jobs, or you are happy with because you are now independent so that you don't have that kind of a pressure because literally I have heard stories about the 50% cut salary, even the people are not having paychecks salary about 2 3 months because of COVID. So now you find your decision is very perfect that time now, and how you are
Well, I
taking
still
this.
stand by my decision, because I mean, I don't know, but ironically, I'm finding this the busiest time of my career, the busiest time ever. So there has been a surge in the projects that I've been getting, a lot in healthcare actually. So there are many companies who want to start telemedicine, or they want to start telehealth, and things like that. So there have been a lot of surge in work actually in what do you say healthcare. So that's good for me. And when my friends and colleagues are complaining about not finding the focus to work from home because kids are there, their family, everyone is working from home. Probably the husband is attending a call from one room, someone else is doing that. I'm still very much comfortable and there, because this is what I've been doing. I'm just not used to so many people, my family. Yeah. But what is I think and remote is going to be the future, where now not limited to talent being shown.
Okay. So now you would
You
have
must have
multiple
multiple
projects,
projects,
multiple projects
multiple
with you.
projects with
So
you.
how you
So
handle those
how you
multiple
handle those multiple
Uh-huh.
projects?
Yes. So from yesterday, because I kind of cut some workshops and trainings on weekends as well. So I don't find even one day when there is no where I'm not doing anything. Delivering on time, or when you're doing this independently, I think discipline goes a long way. Setting up what do you say achievable timelines is also important. You can't just say to the client, oh yes, I'm going to deliver this tomorrow because it sounds good. You actually have to say, oh no, this will have to be delivered next week, because and they understand that because they are getting the flexibility from me, so they understand if I really say let's not deliver this today, let's deliver this later. So basically focus, setting up the right timelines, noting down everything, setting, going by the calendar are some of the things that help me a lot. And if there is a new domain that comes in, let's say that, so recently I was working with something that works for like a mobile application for a little children who have rare illnesses. That was so new to me that we went and I said that no, I cannot start working on this. I need to do the user interviews first, and things like that. So I tell them upfront that this is a new domain and I need time to understand this better and then be able to. So spacing things out. If there are 4 projects, I would space them out and things like that. That is helping me a lot.
Okay. So see, as we are talking about user experience projects, it is not a obviously end of the day they will go into a development and those things. But as a design and as a UX project, so definitely we have to follow some uh, process. Process and flow there. So, any best practice you think that this UX process or research process will help out to find out these, or you feel these gaps in between? That is, you can tell us something.
Yes, definitely there are gaps, because first thing, that let's just take an example of a startup. They don't have a very good understanding of UX per se, okay, but they know that they need a user experience as a differentiator that will help their product. And then when we say, oh, we need to start with research, they don't really understand why we would need research, or why would we need time to spend. So being a consultant, you have to first educate the client that where there is a gap, you need to educate them, saying this is what you need to know to be able to make this this product successful. So first educate. Can you just repeat what you like, the gaps, right, you were saying?
Yeah, yes. For the gaps, and what are the best tools, and what are the practice you use
Yeah.
for this process?
Yeah. So again, I think the one, what you say, soft skill is communication again. So communicate with the client. If you're working with a team of developers, like let's say I'm designing something and a team of developers is developing something. My advice always is try to understand the technology also that they are using. While I may not know the code, but I should understand the capability of a technology. So let's say something is being developed in a cross-platform hybrid, cross-platform yet native format. Like recently I was working on a mobile application for iOS as well as Android, but it was built in Flutter. So Flutter lets you build native code for both, right? Now, if I just randomly design something which is not even possible in Flutter, then that becomes a bottleneck for the development team that will delay timelines and things like that. So first session is always understanding, let's say understanding the business objective, then understanding the users, which we anyway do. There's also this part about technology, which you at least have to understand the capability of the technology to be able to deliver the best solution. So then those gap, if I think I have that gap, I would set up a call and say, why don't you tell me about Flutter? Or why don't you give me some resources about that so I know? So that gaps is both ways. They don't know my expertise, and I don't know what they know. So always it helps to communicate and fill in the gaps either side, being open to learn and being open to tell them what to learn also.
So just keeping same thing, what kind of projects so far you have worked? So
Yeah.
which you say, which is challenging kind of a thing, and where you find some problems with it, because you work with the companies, right? You work with companies, they may have their own process to follow. But as an independent, you have your own process to
Yes.
follow. So there must be some conflicts happen, and maybe some blame games after after even the deliveries of after the. So how to take care about those things, because end of the day, see, there is always a, you expect some payment after you as a consultant, because you're not a
Exactly.
freelancer, right? You as a consultant, you work like there as a team member many times. So you give 100% to them, but still you have to wait for those payments. That is something there. So then how you, there is a conflict if happened, so because many times I can share my experience. Many times then we talk with the technical team, but when paychecks come, they say, okay, now talk to the admin. So
Yes.
this thing happened, and as a designer, we don't used to face that side of a table. We always have in our company, so okay, my PM is there, my design head will be there, or maybe a delivery manager will handle those things. But now you have to, either you have to learn those things, or you have to adopt those things as a own business thing. So you can share that kind of experience where you have faced such challenge, and how you solve those challenges.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I call it Vasuli.
Okay.
Vasuli is like the most difficult part of it all. Any amount of communication, any amount of documentation that you would send doesn't ensure that you have that Vasuli done very, very smoothly. So it's really a difficult task, like you said, because you're working with someone else and they really appreciate your work. And then when it comes to paying you, like it would probably be
Because as a UX, we always think that we have to follow the UX lot of processes we all follow, and we feel happy that yes, in this project I follow all the UX processes.
yes.
And so what are those challenges you face, and and how you cope up with, and how you can tell us on that?
Yes, absolutely. So I have so many projects to talk about, but I think I can talk about, and of course, there is this non-disclosure agreement, so I can't really talk a lot about it, but I'll share whatever I can. So I was working on something which was a solution, like telemedicine, for, for couples who are facing fertility issues. Okay? So that solution would send them all the fertility testing equipment to their house, and everything will be online. Everything that box would come to them, and they would do that. Is to be in those sessions. I also had, so in this project, I also had what do you say, online design, what do you say, ideation sessions with them. So it could be in a tool like Miro or Figma or any of these tools. So that proved to be very, 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 very helpful. So I did a lot of homework. I attended a lot of meetings where I tried to understand the domain. Then we did a lot of ideation. So when it came to ideation, then suddenly it was, they were listening and I was doing. Until then I was listening and they were, that product range just grew so much that it became 7 portals portals means different applications that did different things for couples facing fertility issues. So it became so big that it was very fast paced, and there was no time for other projects or life even. So that got very very difficult for me. I was working weekends also. So managing time, apart from managing the paychecks and money part, managing time is also, you cannot predict, and you cannot say.
So I think now people are definitely understood. It is not that much. Because there is I've seen a lot of attitude, not attitude but mental state about okay, freelancing kya koi bhi kar lega, that kind of a thing we have. But it's definitely we always freelancing, even a consultancy is a full-time job, and
Yes.
you have to consider this as a job. Then only you can become successful. Now I think audience also now definitely have understood. There is a lot of efforts you have to put to become a independent consultant. Okay, so my next question is, what will be your advice for for upcoming uh, upcoming people who want to become as a UX consultant, as an independent consultant? So what is your advice for them, and what should where they can start actually, where first steps they can start with,
Yeah.
and so
Journey of never starting independently and never wanting to go back to a job. That journey that journey actually cannot start freelance. But I've been mentoring many students, so, and students always think that and especially women, right, they have responsibilities in the house later on, which at the beginning of their career they don't understand that how their life is going to change after starting a family in, let's say, 5 or 6 years. So I always say that a starting point is always a conscious decision that one day I want to do this independently, and that is why I want to grasp everything like a sponge, everything that's there, so that one day I am. So that's that danger is also there. But I think you should take some experience in the real field. Start freelancing side by side if that's an option. And then if it works out, if the money works out, then it works out, it works out, then you should leave your job and start, at least in the beginning.
I think let's we open now floor for questions. I think we have already have questions.
Yes.
Let me check on the chat. So I think
Okay, so good question. I think because research is a part of, very much a part of all our UX projects. So sometimes, let's say, and it really depends, I can advise clients that you should spend about X percentage of time on research, or let's at least do, so it's called discount usability testing. It's testing, but let's say lean UX, right? This is how much you should absolutely do. So what is in my hand is I tell them that this is what you have to do or you should be doing research wise.
We have another question from Geeta, and she wants to know, how do you start as an independent consultant?
Absolutely. So, Geeta, see, like I said, that it doesn't just happen one fine day. You start with freelancing. You take it one by one, and like I did what went well, what did not go well. Two columns in an Excel sheet. What goes well, you keep on continuing for the next project. What did not work well, you try to eliminate that from the next project. And then when you just understand that this is the right time, and that happened for me. I kind of understood. I had a very good job offer in one of, like, a very very good job offer at a very leading company in Pune. I would have been happy to be a part of that also, but like I said, I was on the fork, two roads going, whether you want to do something on your own or you want to take up this job which is like really paying you well. And I just knew at that time that I couldn't take up the job, and I started independently. So first is be prepared, do something similar in smaller quantities, and then if you like it, you would start.
okay, great.
We
Any
have
more
a question.
Yes.
Yeah, we have a question from Seema. She is asking, working as an independent UX consultant, how is your experience working with Indian clients and US clients? And is there any difference that you face?
Yeah, so I would say that if I had to say 5 or 6 years back or 7 years back, there was a stark difference in understanding of UX as a concept. UX as a concept was very very well established in US clients, whereas Indian clients might not have that kind of understanding. Did not have at that point of time. I can't say for sure for now. Most of my clients are generally usually would be from the US, but the main difference is first of appreciating and understanding that UX takes effort, time, and money. Second thing is that, you know, being an independent UX consultant for US clients is easy because they listen to you. If you say you have to conduct 5 user tests, it's 5 user tests. Okay. If you're doing that with Indian clients, see, because it has to do with probably funds as well. And I don't blame anyone. It's just the way it is, right? Everybody cannot have enough funds to have those many user tests done. But it's slightly easier with US clients and not that easy with Indian clients. But I can absolutely see the awareness growing. And there's one more to this also. There are clients from UK also. So UK is they understand, they might have the funds, but they are very particular. I mean, they're so particular about each and everything, the documentation, whys of everything, which is a good thing, but they are a different category of their own. So there's US at one side, or the entire world at one side, there is India, and then there's UK. So they're three different things.
Yeah.
You have more questions?
Yeah, Jairaj is asking, some IT companies sadly keep just one UX designer in their team, and they don't understand the role of UX process in making good products. So mostly they expect UI based deliverables from the only UX designer there. So how do you deal, especially with when you are in the beginning of your UX design career? So how do you deal with that?
Yeah. So in the beginning of your career, you are dealt with. Okay, you cannot really deal with much because you're not so equipped. So Gerard, I absolutely understand what you're saying. And when you are a part of a bigger team, okay, let's understand this, that you're working for, let's say, a company which has a development team that's tied to your work. Okay, their profits are coming from both. I'm just saying from a company point of view. Okay, their profits are coming from both UX and development. Okay, UX is just value added service that they are providing for the development. So the development ka budget itna hai, UX ka budget itna hai, aapko karke dena hai, and that is why that so okay, let me just quickly say this. There are different types of companies, which is called a UX maturity model. Okay, every company is going to fit, and you can look this up, UX maturity model. Every company is going to fit into one of these steps of UX maturity. जो सबसे कम company होता है ना, they have very little understanding and appreciation of UX. Then there will be a step on top of it and top of it. तो जितने ऊपर वाले step वाले UX maturity जितनी ज़्यादा है ना, उतना UX designers को ज़्यादा what you say, they have a say in the, so it becomes like hostility to UX led, design led companies. ऐसा वो पूरा ladder है. So it really depends on where you are at. And most Indian companies, I mean, I don't want to say this on record, but they would require
No,
more
it is.
them.
It is there. You cannot say.
Tushar would agree.
Because that is why we say, in daily problem we see the pattern UX and UI. Means people are going for interview for UX and they ask question about JavaScript. So that is the scenario we have, and that maturity about UX companies today we have. It is unfortunate, but yes, that we can, people like you, and we can always come together and we can solve this problem, because no one will come outsider and they will solve this issue. So we are, as a UX community, we have to solve these problems for us basically.
Yeah, for our community. So I think, but Tushar, when I used to work many years back in an Indian IT company, तभी ना लोगों को UX पता भी नहीं था. Okay, now
Right.
awareness of UX is there, so at least those UX deliverables have started coming in, and I am very optimistic कि अभी जो हम लोग doers है ना, वो सारी companies नहीं है, but here, like Jairaj is saying, here, do this prototype for us and give it to us. वो तो doer जैसा हो गया, right? Otherwise, they come to you and say, hey, what should we do? What do you advise? वो वाला होगा, that step will come. Like Tushar, you mentioned, working as a community to do that. and that awareness will grow. It will grow, but it
Sure.
will take time. So I think by the time Jairaj reaches there, because he's at the beginning of his career, he will see those days soon.
Right. Sure. Sure.
So we have a question from Ashish, and he wants to know, how do you set your charges? Do you set it hourly basis, or like do you have a fixed amount? And how do you collect it from the client, like phase wise, or at the end of the project, or at the beginning?
Yeah. So there are many models in this, and I'll tell you what I've been doing over the years. Okay, ऐसा नहीं है कि मैं अभी ऐसे करती हूँ, but over the years it would generally be phase wise. If it requires for me to start doing something, then I would take an advance amount. Fixed rate is generally not what do you say it. क्योंकि ना it makes you do something that could be compromised. So I would work in all the models, but generally hourly is the best. Or then I would say, okay, I will consult with your companies for, let's say, 30 hours this month for this amount, right? And then those 30 hours is what the company can decide what they want me to work on. So probably in that 30 hours, they would want me to teach other junior designers. I could do that. They would want me to actually create a strategy for a project. I would do that. So it really depends. I have signed a contract for 30 hours for company X, and I will work accordingly. So it really changes from company to company or client to client.
Geeta has another question. She wants to know, if you don't have a domain knowledge for a certain project, then how do you work on that?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, because like I said, there are so many domains out there कि अगर healthcare में कर रहे हैं तो अरे finances में हो क्या रहा है, financial services में कर रहे हैं तो what is happening in let's say retail and lifestyle, what's happening in e-commerce, what's happening in logistics, what's happening in industry, what is happening in agriculture. So there is always a learning curve. So I was working on a project for industrial IoT where the client had some, what do you say, instruments, let's say industrial boilers. Okay, now they wanted to make those boilers internet ready, and being able to, like, internet of things, and being able to communicate with each other, those boilers, as well as attached to, let's say, a web application somewhere from where you can troubleshoot and repair those. Okay, now for this I actually went to the factory and saw how those gadgets were. I saw what kind of parameters they measured. I spoke to some of the engineers there, and then we had like a workshop over there where I got to understand from SMEs. So you can see there are two ways, right, to understand a domain. But one would be primary first hand, and second would be secondary. So primary first hand mein kya hoga? You will speak with those people or ask them, is there an SME I can talk to? Okay, another project I was working on was for trade finance. For example, if someone has given something, like a seller has sold something, but now he wants funds, another company will come in and give him funds. So these सारे projects इतने different है that I would do two things. I read white papers on trade finance. I would do secondary research on the internet for trade finance. I would reach out to the client and say, can I talk with an SME? So ये सारी चीजें करनी पड़ती है, to understand the domain.
Yeah, actually, user research is key.
Yes, domain research, user research.
We have a question from Manali. So she says that one of her clients had a very big discussion on his idea about the business, and which was very clear. But later he started to ask her about what she can do as a UX designer for him. And then once she explained the role and benefits to him, he was trying to convince her that I think he can do it himself. So how do you handle such clients?
Well, I don't, because it clearly isn't a perfect match, right? Unless you're valued, unless the value is understood, you cannot really do anything. Kuch bhi karoge, if it's not appreciated, see, because for the ROI to come back to that client, there's going to be a gap between when you delivered something and he actually started seeing results of that work. So if that understanding is not there, then I'd hardly say that that's the right client to work with. I've had clients who said कि मैं ही wireframe करके देता हूँ आपको, right? But that doesn't work. Meaning, wireframe is not just the skill of arranging squares and rectangles together. I mean, it's just not, है ना? So वो, if they don't appreciate it, then I wouldn't work
Yeah,
with.
I think there you can more put light on, how, what kind of agreements we can do with,
Yes.
because see, we have to safeguard our payments and milestones also. So
Absolutely.
better, I think in this scenario, we should have first agreement on, because when we discuss, we are sharing ideas with our customer. And so I think you are also doing such agreements with your customer.
Yes, yes. So agreements are there, but you know what? Because I work with, see, we keep on saying in user experience, it's all about the user, it's all about user, and it is very absolutely true. But there is also someone who is buying these services from me, right? So I have to see what is the best, कितने resources में मैं कितना best deliver कर सकती हूँ, because I have to think about the interest of my clients also, right? I cannot just keep on spending their bandwidth and their money because I believe so. Of course, I know that user research, spending on certain things or certain processes will definitely benefit, but finally I mean, I just need to do the best for the client in whichever way. So there has to be a balance between business requirements and user requirements, and then only it will fit in. But like Tushar said, definitely, वो agreement या SOW में ही clear होना चाहिए what is to be delivered and for what.
We have another question from Amar, and he wants to know which tools are you using for usability testing, and how do you address or record the findings?
Yeah. So see, like usertesting.com, okay, that is expensive. So if there's a client who is willing to give me an enterprise version, not version, but a way for me to set up tests and he will approve it, I would use usability testing, because see, it's very difficult to reach out to actual users when आज मैं finance में काम कर रही हूँ, कल मैं agriculture sector में काम कर रही हूँ, तो I don't have a pool of users that I can use everywhere. उन्हीं को उनके यूजर्स मुझे प्रोवाइड करने पड़ेंगे और उन्हीं को मुझे टेस्टिंग टूल्स, इफ दे आर यूजिंग एनी पेड टेस्टिंग टूल्स, they will have to provide me those credentials to use that is online testing. Another good way of doing it is where the testing is not critical. I have done user testing on Zoom. So what I would do is either it will be moderated, so I'll see what they are doing, they share their screen and they think aloud, right? So I give them a task and then they would do that and I would see what they are using. So Zoom has become a good tool where I can even record it, right? So I say that, yes, there are going to be tasks that I have sent to you or I'm asking you while I'm moderating. You just, I'm just going to record this session and then re-listen later on. So जितना budget है या जो requirement है उसके हिसाब से कर सकते हैं. So moderated can be done on Zoom. Or if there are similar users who I can reach to, I would do that in person. That would be so good. But because everything is remote and COVID is here, mostly any kind of usability testing tool that's available paid or then Zoom sessions. तो वो ना remotely भी कर सकते हैं. तो if there is like a very small task that you want the user to perform, and the user is not in a time zone that you can probably meet with him or her, you would send a pre-recording wala link to the user, send the credentials of, let's say, an interface to him to log in, send the task. And so this is unmoderated. It's not as effective, but it's better than not doing anything. So different ways.
Great answer. Ashish wants to know how important it is to have a certification to do a UX consultation.
Yeah. So I think, when I did HFI, okay, like I said, I was in the US, I was waiting for my work permit to come in. I had a little child. So I did the HFI certification then. It did help me in the US, at least that certification, because there was like a few months of gap in my employment. And when people are coming, let's say that I show them my educational credentials of Bachelor of Fine Arts and I say I've been working here at X amount of, it's very difficult for them to really understand the authenticity, because the cultural context is very different. They don't know my college, they don't know my credentials. So doing a certification from a known institution helped me, but I don't know if it would help everyone. So like a very, very unbiased, just to get UX consultation, I would say. But if you don't have experience, if you really want to learn from someone, then I would think a certification would be good, where you would get to do hands-on without having to really, if you don't have a project, you want to do hands-on and learn, do the certification by all means. But, yeah.
Great.
We have a
Great.
question from
Yeah.
Rupan.
Last question, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah. So she wants to know, being an independent consultant, how do you handle user research and user interviews, observations, or field studies? Uh, um, I think she says, by suppose US client, she means that, a client which is not here in India.
Correct. So if it's the client is not co-located, I cannot do it. That's my limitation. So I cannot do field studies. I can tell them, if you want to do a field study for this and give me the results, I would ask them to hire a consultant there who would do that much part and then hand it over to me. But because of the physical location related, limitation, I'm not able to do that. But user interviews, yes. See, as long as the users I can talk with, remotely, that is all fine. But having to go to their houses or their workplaces and observing them, wo nahi ho pata hai. So I've done some diary studies. Let's say I was doing something for students, okay, who were, and I was designing a digital product, that educational digital product, jisme it was important to know students' lives. So at that point of time, what we had done was we had asked those students to keep a visual diary of their work, where they used to take pictures of their desks, of their hostel rooms, and they used to maintain a visual diary which they used to share with me. So if I'm not able to be there, I'm just asking, why don't you send your world to me through pictures? I mean, what I'm saying is, do the best that you can in whatever resources you have. It's not always possible. I can tell you for sure that user research is face to face. Real user research becomes difficult if you're doing remotely. And sorry, one more thing I could remember was, it's the other way around also. Okay, there was this Australian agency that had gotten in touch with me long back, because they were designing a product for the Indian market, and they couldn't come here to do those kind of research interviews and things. So they had reached out to me that, as an independent consultant, would you do the user interviews for us, because you are in India and the product is for India. So it can be the other way around also, that people want to study Indian users and they would reach out to me. But again, it wasn't possible for me because they wanted me to go to remote villages in India and conduct a research. So I had to not take that project. So वो limitations दोनों तरफ से होते हैं, from me also and from the client also.
Great. Yes. Any more questions? Okay.
I think, yeah, Sampada has just posted a question. She wants to know your thoughts. No, she's given you, I think, Aboli, your thoughts are so inspirational. How someone who is from totally different background should start with this?
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Sampada. So first thing is that stay inspired. And if you really think that this field is for you, then I think someone asked about certification, right? So the first step would be to start learning, and then test the waters. Is this cut out for me or no? Because that's the safest, right? जो already students होते हैं ना, जिन्होंने certification या कुछ UX का किया होता है, for them, I tell them, go ahead and work with a startup for free to understand if it is made for you. What will happen is that you will help them, they will get help. You will not get paid, but you will get a lot of learning. So if you are totally new, I would say start by learning something formally. If you have learned something to some extent, then do something hands-on, very very non-destructive. छोटे से लेवल पे सिर्फ असेस करने के लिए शुरू कर सकते हैं. And then if you think, oh, this was too much fun, and you know what, I have seen so many, and yes, UX is really a lot of fun. If you're doing it well, you can see the results. So I have had clients say to me that we are jealous of your job, because that those ideation sessions and designing, वो उनको इतना अच्छा लगता है that they say that I'm jealous of your job. But it's not always rosy. When, like I said, now when I came to UX field in Capgemini, वहाँ पे सारे लोग UX designers थे, and I was just a graphic designer, and I was very overwhelmed. These people know so much, how will I ever cope up and things like that. But वो हो गया. There were ups and downs. I used to feel कि क्यों, why am I in this group and things like that. But eventually it irons out. You have to just stay there and keep learning and keep doing stuff. Many students actually ask me that अभी हमारा certification हुआ है, मुझे बहुत ही कम पैसे में मुझसे एक project करवाए. But you know, I think they should do it, because unless you actually do something, उसका कुछ मतलब नहीं है फिर. So I think, yeah, learn and do.
I think we can take one last question. Yeah. So Amar has asked, as an independent consultant, how do you estimate timeline for the project, and what are the criteria or parameters that you keep in mind?
Yeah, so generally I would be the one who would be telling them कि आपको user testing करना है, आपको, या let's say if you already have something, heuristic evaluation करना है. So depending on their goal of a project, okay, let's say they want to launch, let's just take a very simple example of an existing mobile application, a very simple one. हाँ, तो उनको क्या करना है, they want to revamp this and launch a bigger version in the next year or the next 1.5 years. So, but they want something immediately also. Then I would say, okay, let's do this. Let's do a heuristic evaluation. I will give you some suggestions of improvement in the as-is state, which your developers can release as incremental improvements. तो पहले मैं उनको पहले milestone का timeline बताऊंगी. This is what you should do heuristic evaluation. Here is how much time it will require. And so basically, because I tell them what needs to be done, तो उसी हिसाब से फिर टाइमलाइन सेट हो जाती है. बिकॉज इवन अ ह्यूरिस्टिक इवैल्यूएशन विल डिफर बेस्ड ऑन तुम्हारे एप्लीकेशन कितना बड़ा है, कितना कॉम्प्लेक्स है. So the answer so many times it depends. Like depends.
Right.
Yeah.
Correct. Okay. I think that is all questions. And again, once again, Abuli, thanks for your time.
Thank you.
And hopefully we'll work out some more such sessions, or maybe something. Right. Great to have. And again, thanks for time. I think
Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for joining and you know asking, keeping the questions going on. I was wondering कि एक घंटे में मैं क्या बोलूँगी, but you know so many questions were asked. So thank you so much. It was really fun interacting.
Thank you, Abole. It was a great session. Especially, I am a UX researcher, and like apart from UX experts, I've also started taking projects individually recently. I do get like Tushar sir do guide me a lot, but then this was also very insightful. Thank you very much, and thank you everyone for joining. Our next session is going to start at 4 o'clock, so we'll see you all over there.
Bye.
Thanks, Abuli. See you at 4 o'clock.
Yes. Bye.